listening to Behind the Wheel on RacingJunk.com. You've read the stories of the drivers and others involved in the sport that we all love. Now hear their stories firsthand via our all-new podcast to find out how their passion for motorsports has made life worth living.
So welcome back to the latest edition of Behind the Wheel on RacingJunk.com. Lil E, Ellen Richardson, Chris Young, and we got a very special guest joining us tonight.
Yes, I am so excited about tonight's show, Chris.
Talking about special guests, we actually have two.
Yes, that's right.
But joining us to help us with the special guest is the editor-in-chief of the news section on RacingJunk.com, our very own Adriana Denton. Adriana, what's going on?
Not too much. I am sitting in Austin traffic trying to drive home. I'm really excited to talk to you guys. We are now a tri-coastal operation for Racing Junk. So,
nice.
I'm both excited to get to talk to you guys in person and also to talk to our guests.
Now, tri-coastal, does that mean you're going to be down in Kingsport or Corpus Christi anytime soon? Or?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
I do not.
Pretty rooted in Central Texas.
I do not miss that Austin traffic. Just tell me you're not on 35 heading north.
No, sadly, no, I'm not. I am on 360 heading south.
Nice.
Which has become just not as bad. At least the view is prettier. There's no crazy construction. But it is a long and slow process to get from one side of the city to the other these days. But it's super hot, so that helps.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Beautiful. We had so much rain that it's super green right now, and it's really lovely. And nobody goes outside except to get in the water. So it's sort of a coast, right?
There you go.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, yeah, especially if you go down to Cesar Chavez, you got the lake, the river right there. I miss Austin so much. Of course, most people hopefully by now know I graduated from UT. Right. And, I'm a big fan of the city, big fan of the state. And I'm excited to have you. How long have you been with RacingJunk.com?
I have been with Racing Junk about 7 years. Racing Junk did not previously have what we call a content section, which is basically news and tech for those people who don't want to know what content means in the internet world. So I came over from Motorcyclist Magazine to help start the news and tech section for Racing Junk. Primarily, it had been online classifieds, and they've had a section called Race Space for members and the forum and all kinds of stuff. And they really wanted to create the equivalent of a magazine for their readers to cover how-tos, the latest in news and tech for racing and performance, different types of race events, driver interviews and profiles, and all sorts of stuff. So we launched that roughly 6 or 7 years ago. I should know off the top of my head, but I can't drive and count backwards at the same time. But since then, we've really had the opportunity to talk to a lot of great folks involved in the racing performance industry, and including you guys. So I have a team of in-house and freelance reporters who do coverage about all sorts of stuff. And if any of our listeners have things that they'd like to know more about in that field, please let us know. If there's something that you want to learn how to modify, how to fix, if you want to know what the best option for your drive racer or your off-road vehicle or any of those things are, let us know, and we will track it down and give you some answers.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the things we've been asking for each week. So now you have multiple ways. And Adriana, what's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you and to get information to you?
Oh, man, the easiest way is email, which we will include in the link once the podcast goes live, because my email is really long. So it's
right.
My name, so it's adriana.denton@motorheadmedia.com. But you can contact me via Facebook Messenger on our Racing Junk page. You could tweet at us. You could send us a DM on our Instagram. Email is great. You can even give me a call. And, again, we'll put all of that information in the notes for the podcast. But, any way you want to get a hold of me, we would love to hear from listeners and from interested readers, just people who are curious about any kind of information. Like I said, from more information on a driver or a crew chief or a mechanic or something new that's going on in the industry, we love to have questions. And also feel free to answer in the comments of the write-up that we do on the podcast.
Nice.
Or on SoundCloud, where the podcast is aired. We check everything constantly, so.
Exactly.
Now, one of the things that we love hearing about is the passion that people bring not only to work, but, you know, to the reason that we talked to him on the podcast. So with you being integral, I know I might not be saying that right. Ellen picks on me every week for words I mispronounce. But for everything that you have going on, but do you have a specific passion when it comes to motorsports?
Honestly, I have a couple of tiny passions in motorsports that don't get much exhibition these days. I am a big, big fan of the Mazda Miata and Spec Miata racing. But I have a 2-year-old, so there's not a lot of time to investigate that. And
Right.
I'm also a big fan, vehicle-wise, of the Ford Bronco. So those are my two individual passions. I really love racing and performance, and I really love the community that's involved with it. We go to a lot of car shows, so I also really love the hot rod and performance community and the way that those communities and car clubs come together and really celebrate each other and celebrate their passions. And so, you know, over the years, I'd say that instead of having individual niches, I really love the various elements of the community and the way that they support each other, you know, from the very beginning racer who people will come out and give support and information to someone like Polly from Cloud, who had a massive heart attack, who came back and is racing again, which nobody said that he would. And part of the reason he's doing that is because he missed his buddies.
Yeah.
I'm seeing them every day. So that's the thing that really kind of keeps me going and keeps me invested in the automotive industry is watching the way that people connect with each other and support each other.
So the Ford Bronco comment caught me.
Me too. I didn't know
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
It's true.
Let me tell you
It's
what.
true.
I mean, beautiful and so well said. But the one thing I'm going to cling on is that Ford Bronco comment, because my very first vehicle when I was 15 years old, it wasn't a Bronco. It was a Bronco 2.
Oh, there you go.
The
Okay,
ones that had
fair
all
enough.
the transmission problems.
Mhm.
Let me tell you,
Yeah.
I tore the torque converter out of that thing like 4 or 5 times, taking it to the beach. And I actually drove it from my home in South Boston, Virginia, all the way to Austin when I moved to Texas. And then it died on me and I had to trade it in for a Saturn.
Oh, no, not a Saturn.
A
Oh,
Saturn.
no.
No, see, no bad things about Saturns. I had a Saturn for a decade, and that car gave me such faithful service.
Heck
It wasn't
yeah.
Well, there you go.
fancy, but it was so good.
I had the SC, the one that looked like a shark with the pop-up lights like the old
Yeah.
Corvettes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that thing. 217,000 miles before the
Wow.
drive chain
Yeah.
broke in the dealership.
Oh, no.
Yep. Yeah, mine stopped working on the way to trade it in. They still took it. If it hadn't been 10 years old, I would have kept it. If they hadn't been closing, I might have kept it. too.
Right? So that is awesome.
Awesome.
I mean, so we're excited to have you. Now, will you be able to join us for, you know, the podcast from here on out?
I think probably that I am going to leave you guys to talk to Jeanette, who is wonderful, who is a new partner with Racing Junk. So one of the things that we do is we have various business development partnerships, which sounds much more corporate than it often is. But basically that Racing Junk has always been heavily invested in grassroots racing. And one of the things that having business partnerships allows us to do is to give a wider range of types of support to those types of organizations. And they will do various things for us, and we do various things for them. And it's largely a way to create the kind of solidarity for the racers of all levels, right? So Chix is a new partner with us, and we really would like to be able to showcase the work that they're doing, because we think they're becoming a really important part of the industry. Supporting women in racing and the auto industry is very important for me.
Mm-hmm.
As a woman in the industry, as a journalist, as an enthusiast, I think it's really essential to make sure that we have spaces that are supportive of women and that showcase what they're doing. And this podcast has done a great job of that. We have really showcased, thanks to Ellen, racers who are just starting out, racers who are veterans,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
who are involved in the industry. And I think that Chix is going to do a great job of also showcasing what her organization does to, in a much wider way, support that element of the industry.
Right.
Like I said, it's something that I'm really passionate about. I really believe in it. I think the industry is getting a lot better at supporting those efforts, but it's still a pretty, and feel free to edit this out, it's still a pretty white male industry.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Who are, and I think that it's important for us to recognize that is a barrier to entry. That if we want to see the sport keep going, that there is a necessity to expand it. And some of it is tougher than others, right? But encouraging people of color, people who come from backgrounds, women, to be involved in it only strengthens the community. They bring new perspectives, they bring new talents, they bring new faces to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that what Jeanette's organization does, for me personally, is really exciting. But also as somebody who does support the racing and performance industry, it's also really exciting because they put a lot of work into recognizing the talent that's out there and creating resources to foster it. So I'm really excited about that conversation, and I'm really bummed that I can't really be a part of it. Unfortunately, some change of plans has meant that I am driving instead of being able to sit around, and I apologize for that.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think we could have said it any better. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. And one of the things that I don't think, gets enough kudos is the work that Ellen puts into booking the guests that we do get. I mean, we've had some of the cream of the crop, across the board.
I just love getting a lot of these women.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love having every guest we've had. We have had some incredibly amazing guests, and I'm excited to, increase some of the women guests that we've had because, like Andriana said, and there's a reason Andriana is my mentor, there's not enough women in this industry. I mean, I'm an automotive writer by trade as well, and, sometimes when I apply for a new, possible gig, I start thinking, well, and there's many times it's a man that I'm applying to. So I'm like, is he going to let me write because I'm a woman?
Right.
So, but at the same time, there's a reason that a lot of these guys know so much, so I like that I don't care if it's a man, woman, whatever. I love that I can learn from anyone who has any knowledge about the sport, about automotive world, the whole thing. So,
and I think that you've really shown over the years that you have written for us that dedication and that willingness to increase the knowledge of the sport and the industry that you already have. And it's one of the reasons that it's been such a joy to, have you guys work on this podcast and have you expand what you cover for us. And, I think that we are, I don't want to say unique, but, we have more than one female correspondent, which is great. And the bulk of our racing coverage is done by women, which is largely because my female reporters, in addition to my male reporters, have been really proactive about saying, hey, I want to do this. Hey, I want to try this. And I think it again, I'm not sure that this is something we want to cover, we want to leave in the podcast, but the truth is that you guys don't let ego get involved when I say yes or no. And sometimes I've had male reporters who think they know a lot and don't necessarily know as much as they think they do, but don't want to hear that. And that's never been, that hasn't really been the case for a lot of my reporters in general, but I think that it does make a difference to have, like I said, a variety of people from a variety of backgrounds covering the sport. There are people who have been involved in this industry for a really long time who bring a depth of knowledge and a wealth of knowledge and a sense of community and all that, and that is incredibly valuable to have. Having these new perspectives is also valuable. And giving them some free rein to explore what they want to cover is also equally valuable. So I also can't say enough about how hard Ellen works to make these connections, whether it's for the podcast or whether it's for stories that she's doing for Racing Junk or for the other venues that I know she works for. She has a depth of knowledge. She works hard to increase it. She creates good spaces for these interviews to happen, and we're really, really lucky to have her. So
wow.
Thank you.
Let me tell you what.
I'm over here about to cry.
Yeah, I was going to say, not only is she about to cry, her head can no longer fit here in the studio.
Yeah.
I got to tell you,
don't worry,
Andrea.
I'll yell at her about something later.
I know, right? Yeah, got to.
Yeah, it's okay. Keep me humble. I'm cool with that.
Andriana, that is absolutely fantastic, and we are excited to be talking to Jeanette DesJardins of Chix. here in just a little bit. I know the partnership between Chix and RacingJunk.com is going to be a fantastic one. I can't wait to hear about the grassroots efforts, everything that she's doing for females in motorsports, and to see what her vision of a place that promotes and encourages women in the industry is working to equalize opportunity and sing the praise of some of the best rising female stars. You just did it for some of the staff at RacingJunk.com, Ellen especially, but I can't wait to hear what Jeanette's got going on, what the next steps are going to be, because the vision that becomes the reality is what's going to change the industry as a whole. And I know she's doing some amazing things. Hardy has in the past 9 years. So thank you for setting that up. And I know you got to go. I hate you can't join us, but hopefully we'll do you and RacingJunk.com some justice tonight. And we look forward to having you on the next episode of Behind the Wheel.
Oh, thank you guys so much. And you guys do every time that you do the podcast, it makes me happy to hear what you're working on. So thank you guys so much for your efforts and your professionalism.
Thank you.
I think that's the first time I've ever been called professional.
I know,
so
me too.
I'm beaming right now. Adriana, thank you so much for joining us. Have fun and drive safe down there in that Austin traffic. I do not miss it. Do not envy you at all.
Thanks, guys.
Attention racers, race fans, and gearheads. If you're looking to buy, sell, or trade the stuff that stokes your engine, then check out RacingJunk.com. RacingJunk.com is the world's #1 online racing and performance classifieds, where you'll find what you need to rock your ride. Check us out at RacingJunk.com. Racing and performance classifieds built to go fast.
So welcome back to Behind the Wheel on RacingJunk.com. Now, I know we got Ellen, a little inflated ego here. And,
Yeah.
And Adriana, thank you so much for joining us. But on the phone right now, and I love the way she pronounces her name, but I'm so excited.
Let's let her
joining
say
us.
her name. I want her to everybody to see how beautiful she pronounces her name.
Yes. Okay. So joining us from Chix.com and Chix, just the great, the wonderful, the impactful, Miss Jeanette. And would you please say your last name for me?
DesJardins.
I love it.
Isn't it beautiful? I love the way she says it.
I want to go to New Orleans.
I know, right?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, yeah, we're excited not only about the partnership between RacingJunk.com and Chix, but also tell us a little bit, about yourself. How did things get started, and how did you go from A to where we are today?
Sure. So it's kind of a crazy story. And when I was about 13, 14, I wanted to open up an all-girl garage. And I had this big vision. I was going to call it Chix. We were going to have, women working on cars, doing oil changes, brakes. And then we're going to have a women's hand car wash. And I was like, it's a $1 million idea because women trust women not to rip each other off.
Yeah.
And then men would just come because, they want chicks wash their car, whatever.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, at that age, I didn't have any money, And so I did the next best thing, and I bought Chix.com online for $7.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah, and I never did anything with it at first, and because the sad reality is that being a teenager, you don't really have any money. You're making minimum wage, changing oil. I think I was making $4.25 or something when I was 16, and I went to college because I had this, whole thought in my head that, kid, go to college. And when you walk across that stage, you're like a millionaire. And nothing magical like that really happens. And so while I was in college, I was working at Great Lakes Dragway, which is one of the oldest operating drag strips in the country. And they're still open today. They're open every day except for Monday. And when I was there, I actually met some really incredible women and young ladies that were into racing. And unfortunately, over here in it was Wisconsin at the time, we have this horrible thing called winter that seems to last 9 months.
Right?
And
Wisconsin.
Yeah, so I actually launched the website as kind of it was a forum. I don't know if everyone remembers forums back in the day when those were pretty popular. Facebook, actually, it seemed like Facebook kind of killed those things off. But nonetheless, I launched a forum for me and a couple of these girls to kind of have contact over winter, so we could share pictures of our cars, our builds, what we're doing, maybe talk about boys, things like that. And within 3 days, the website just totally crashed. and it crashed because there was so much traffic going there that was very unintentional and not expected. And so within a few days, we redid the entire website, got it on a better server. I should have got sponsored by Mountain Dew because we went through tons of cases of Mountain Dew to make this happen and no sleep.
I bet.
And so that was the relaunch, Car Chix 2.0, and that was like January of 2010. And from then on, we did we had our first event, which was Racing for a Cure, quarter mile at a time. It's now called something else, but it was a breast cancer fundraiser that we held at Great Lakes Dragway, and we actually broke attendance records at that racetrack. It's very cool.
That's awesome, and I love that you all support, breast cancer research. I mean, I myself have had at least 5 friends with breast cancer, so it's amazing. Yeah, so I love that you all are involved in helping. I mean, they've all been women. There are men that have been diagnosed. I've not met any, but I know that that's the fact. So, the fact that you all are doing stuff to help with that is great. Doing events to help with that.
Right.
Thank you.
You should have seen Ellen's eyes light up when you said you wanted to start your own all-girl garage. That's exactly the thing she wanted to do.
I always wanted to write a book about that. Like, I didn't want to work at the garage because you don't want me working on a car. I will mess it up. But I always wanted to write a book about, no, seriously, either an all-girl race team or, because I've worked with race teams and there's a lot of guy egos, or, sorry guys, or an all-girl garage. I thought that would be like the coolest book ever because, you just didn't hear about that very often.
Right.
When I was a little girl, that's what I wanted to write a book about. So
I mean,
that's
absolutely.
Really cool.
You should still do it, Ellen.
Yeah.
There's still plenty of time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
I'm
why
totally
not?
going to do that.
You know how easy it is to get published now, too? I mean, come on. You should absolutely do that.
That would be awesome. I'll do it.
Great idea.
She's inspired me. I'm going to do it.
Good. So it's about, we want to inspire, and that's like the whole kind of part of Car Chix is that, we advertise and promote women in motorsports and the automotive industry. And we focus a lot on your grassroots racers, your everyday gals that, your small town local heroes or something that most people would never hear about. And we wanted to write about these women and these young ladies. And we wanted to, give them a platform to be like, hey, here we are. It's okay to not fit the norm. It's okay to be in the cars. It's okay to be in the racing. It's okay, I was always a huge tomboy, and I remember every Christmas, me and my mom would fight about me not putting that puffy dress on to go to Grandma's
to
house.
my world. Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
Both my
I had a
sisters.
pink dress that I literally tore off myself. She was so mad at me.
Both my sisters hanging me up in a tree and beating the daylights out of me and then crying, running to Dad if I even looked at them wrong. Oh,
That's funny.
I don't miss it one bit.
But we wanted to highlight these women just to inspire others. And I think that we are definitely accomplishing that. I know that we are. I know that we have. We've been doing this for 10 years now. And back then, it was so hard to find content to write about. It was so hard to, when we first started doing the ladies race thing, for the most part, a lot of the gals that would enter, it was the first time they were ever driving a race car down the racetrack. And now it's usually women will enter an event and then next year I'll talk to them and they're fighting with their husband every other weekend about who's driving the race car that weekend.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's definitely made an impact. Then you also see there's a lot more women oriented or focused groups, and not even just in drag racing. You see it in the motorcycle community, you see it in the circle track community. They have the whole women's IndyCar series thing going on, the W series. You see it just spreading like wildfire. So I definitely think organizations like ours have made an impact in the industry for the better.
Absolutely. Now, on the podcast, we've had a recent string of just some phenomenal women in motorsports. And even our latest guest, McKenna Sassy Hassey, who was also on
American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, and she was on American Ninja Warrior, which was great.
Yeah.
So, seeing that and discovering these wonderful ladies who are just crushing it. She set records, and she's not even 25 yet, which, my God. Anyway,
she's amazing. I've been following her online for years. I actually met her in person a couple of years ago. I can't remember if it was PRI or if it was SEMA. It was one or the other, but she's a fantastic young lady, super accomplished, and has a really, really bright future ahead of her.
Oh, absolutely.
So hearing that and hearing what the organization has done, I mean, you know, we've talked to some champions, some just superstars. Who do you see up and coming that maybe we should keep our eye on and maybe even make them a guest of the podcast?
Wow. Well, there's a lot of there's definitely a lot of talent out there and a lot of up and coming. But one of the ones that I've seen like really just take off recently, I mean, not recently. Well, recently, I guess is a relative word. Recently, in the last couple of years, but Natalie Decker, Natalie Decker in the NASCAR ARCA series. She's phenomenal, and I met her. Gosh, like maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and she's someone to watch out for. She's very competitive. Don't let her little petite sweet thing fool you, man. She'll go out there and blow your doors off.
Just like McKenna.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I had the honor of meeting Natalie at an ARCA race last summer, as a matter of fact. And she actually did really well to begin with. Unfortunately, another driver who was not doing so well decided to wreck her. But yeah, it was a bummer because we really wanted her to win that night.
Right.
But she really was impressive, and it was amazing to me to see the force that she had. I mean, she wasn't letting any guys in that pit bully her, but she is very small. She's a typical race car driver size, like what you used to see on a normal basis. You don't see it as much anymore.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We had her, I did, not last year, but the year before, we did Women in Race and Performance seminar. So I moderated it, and we had multiple speakers, and she was one of them. And she's very well-spoken, very dedicated, lots of passion. And that's one thing that, I think you can teach people a lot of things. I could teach you how to change a tire if you don't know. I could teach you, what, like the basics about drag racing, right? But you can't teach passion.
No.
Right.
You can't teach passion, and she's got passion.
Is that one of the things that you think is going to help kind of change the outlook? Because, I mean, automotive and motorsports is still male-dominated. But, is the passion, is that going to be one of the things that your organization is going to kind of help maybe change that in the future?
Well, I've always said, because I worked in the automotive industry, since I was like 15. I started off at little quick lubes. I moved up into little mom and pop garages. One of the first garages I worked at, I was one of 3 people that spoke English out of like 100 people. I mean, it was wild. I learned how to speak a few words in Spanish that I probably couldn't say on the radio. But then I moved up to like dealerships and things like that. And
nice.
one thing I will say is that was there like some initiation period? Well, absolutely. I think there's an initiation period for any job. People want to see, do you know how to do your job? And they're trying to feel you out. They feel out your personality, and are you going to fit in? And as a woman, maybe it lasted a week longer, but I'll tell you what set it straight. Let your work speak for itself. My work always spoke for itself, and I was able to gain respect in the industry very fast just because, I didn't just spit it. I actually did it. And so I think, I think the passion side helps me, but I've always had thick skin. I always, hung out with the boys. I was always into cars, and I was just, you just kind of blow it off in one ear out the other. They dish it to you, you dish it back, but at the end of the day, your work spoke for itself. And that's it.
Outside of Car Chix and doing everything that you do there, what was your favorite job?
My favorite job, I hands down, was working at Great Lakes Straightway. It was the coolest job. I started off as a bartender.
Oh,
and
that's
within the first day, within a couple hours, the owner of the racetrack pulls me out the bar. He's like, "Come with me," and he has me get on his golf cart. And he takes me over to the staging lanes, and he hands me a walkie-talkie and says, "Pull the cars out." That's all he said.
You're like, I do what?
Yeah, he said just pull the cars out. That's all he said. Well, I ended up never going back in the barn. I worked there for 5 years, and after 3 years in the staging line, so pretty much my job was, Jeanette, here's 300 cars. You know, there's multiple organizations and races going on inside one race. Send them down the track safely. Also get these test and tune cars. And by the way, we need to be done by 10 o'clock tonight. Right. So make it happen, you know. And so then also trying to ensure, like, you know, the guys are, you know, they got their proper dress on, the cars aren't leaking anything, you know, that there's no issues. And then after about 3 years of that, I started doing the actual starter. So when you're a starter at the racetrack, so I mean, it happens really fast, and you're standing in between the two cars, and you have seconds to make a decision from the time that car pulls in the water box to right before it hits the beams if that car is safe to send down the track. Mm-hmm. If there was ever any accidents, you're the first responder. It's, you know, I've seen cars that run alcohol start on fire, and alcohol doesn't burn. Like, I mean, it burns, but you don't see the flames until it's eating the paint or eating someone's suit, you know? So just that's what I did every day, and it was the most amazing job. It was the most rewarding job, and it was like the hardest job. You know? Right. I mean, you're sitting out in the sun 16, 18 hours a day, you know, and everyone wants to, you know, get down the track. People get upset. People yell and scream. Scraping a track when it's 96 degrees outside with a torch, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I bet so.
Yeah, but man, did I have a great tan.
I bet so. Yeah, that's so. I bet it's a permatan by now.
You know, I have my like little lines around my feet. Yeah, like I think those are pretty permanent tan lines. But
that's funny.
It was a great job, and not even just like the actual work, but the people you met along the way. I mean, a lot of those people have become like family to me, and you just meet some amazing people, and you hear some outstanding stories, and especially being the oldest operating drag strip in the country. I mean, that's where, you know, Broadway Bob owned that place. I mean, legendary promoter. You know, John Force and Shirley Muldowney, before, you know, they were even famous, they were racing there. And, you know, some of the camaraderie that was happening back then, because a lot of these employees, they've worked there 40 or 50 years. You know, they remember being in the pits partying with them, you know, in the 70s or whatever it was, you know.
So I'm curious, how did that job lead you into establishing an organization that helps women do that type of racing? Or for women like myself, you know, I was talking to Adriana, there's still not enough of us women riders out there. There are some in the automotive industry, but it's like I was mentioning to Chris, we always have to apply to a man, that kind of thing. So it kind of makes you nervous. Hey, I'm a woman. Are they going to accept me? How did that job, and you're dealing with, you know, people of all genres, ages, races, you know, female, male, how did that lead you into an organization that's going to help women be successful in this sport?
Well, I kind of think, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
So I kind of think one of the things that helped me was, so I was already established at this racetrack, right? And I already got the respective racers, and, you know, I'm knowledgeable. I know, you know, we know what we're doing. And, you know, got to, you know, really get to know a lot of these people on a personal level. And so then when we started doing events, it was like, okay, we would have great turnouts at our events. We still do today, you know, and I think it, like, people were like, all right, well, Jeanette's doing it, and, you know, we've worked with Jeanette before. We've seen how she handles, you know, certain situations at the racetrack. You know, that's what she does for a living, is run events. So these events are going to be great. So I'm going to go. And a lot of the women that come out, you know, will, you know, they've always come out to like spectate, to check it out, you know, and it would take a lot of convincing sometimes, because I think most women, they don't want to be the first one. They're embarrassed. They don't want to embarrass themselves. They don't want to, you know, I hate to look stupid, you know, and we're like, hey, we're here for you. You know, don't worry about it. There's no pressure. It's a good time. It's for a great cause. Right. Let's just go out there, and, you know, we'll be along with you every step of the way. If you need help doing, you know, this or that, if you have any questions, and, you know, that's just how it was handled. And also, when I first launched Card Chix, Great Lakes Dragway was holding, and they still do today, and like we help them promote it, every Wednesday. They host Ladies Night every Wednesday. So every Wednesday, ladies can get in for free and race for free, and also enter this free bracket race. Right. And so we have a lot of women that will actually go there to just try it out to see if they like it. You know, we have women racing cars, trucks, actual race cars, daily drivers, motorcycles, and then I see a lot of women will actually use that as like a kind of like a test and tune to get some seat time to do what we are doing, or to race in one of our events. I'm sorry, my dogs are barking.
It's okay. I'm a big dog lover, so that's cool with me. I was like, hey, she's got a dog.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Let me just help them real quick.
Yeah.
Let me just help them. Now, you got to tell us their names.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a bulldog named Lucy.
I love bulldogs.
She's an Alapa bulldog, and then I have a pit bull named Hayes.
Aw.
So they're fantastic. They come on the road with me. More so the pit bull, he'll come on the road with me a lot.
Right.
To to all these different racetracks. The bulldog, because she has a short snout, she doesn't do so well in the heat.
Right. Right.
So I leave her at home.
See, I was kind of thinking, given your background, given your passion, they would be something like, I don't know, Torque and Wrench.
Yeah.
Or Speed and Blaze.
Well, we didn't ever, I've never gotten a dog that, we got, as a puppy, and you can name them whatever. I mean, they've always been rescue dogs. I mean, well, Lucy was a rescue, but we did rename her. I tried pushing for Bobby Joe, because I just thought it would be funny to be like, come on, Bobby Joe, Bobby Joe.
That's cute. I like that name.
Yeah, but yeah, we got, Lucy and Hayes, they're fantastic. We're big dog people over here. And that's funny. I think a lot of people at the racetrack are dog people too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've definitely seen that. My dogs, I think my little boy would be okay at a racetrack. My little girl's scared of a pin dropping. I mean, the slightest noise, that dog will take off.
One of the first times I brought Lucy to the racetrack, and I believe where I was at Cedar Falls. They have Night of Fire, so they have these nitro funny cars. They have jet cars. They have the loudest stuff on the planet there. And I was a little nervous for her, and so I went and checked on her in the RV. Like, oh man, she must be terrified. She is sleeping on her back with her legs in the air, her head on the pillow. I mean, she had no idea and didn't even care.
That's awesome.
She did fantastic.
That's awesome. My dog was freaking out during the fireworks this year. I thought she was going to have a massive coronary.
Well,
no.
Yeah, but just your dog does freak out at everything. So
she does. She really does.
So all right. So I love asking this because my dream car is a 06 Aston Martin V12 Vanquish. If you could work on your dream car, or if you already have it, what is it?
Wow. Well, I don't have my dream car. But one car that is definitely on my list to have before I die is a 1970 Chevelle.
Oh.
And I've always wanted, I love muscle cars. I'm not into any of the newer type muscle cars. I have a 93 Fox Body GT, and that's the newest car that I, like. So... Did I lose you?
No, I thought
I thought we lost you. We're like,
I'm
you were
sorry.
telling us about the car. I was like,
Yeah, I've had, I had my Fox Body for 12 years, and that's my baby. I love that car. I remember, this guy that used to own it, I had to be I was 20 years old, and he was 19, and it's this Porsche red. It's gorgeous. It was mint condition, and it was just super hot. And I just always wanted that car. And so he's out driving one day. I don't know, just doing what 19-year-old boys do, right? Out cruising, probably picking up chicks. And a deer ran out and hit the side of the car.
Oh no!
You could see a deer imprint in the side of the front fender, and he was it was like his best friend died. He was all up in his feelings. He was so sad. He was devastated. And so at that moment, I went and talked to him about selling it.
There you go. Well, if you want to sell it.
So compassionate, Jeanette. So compassionate. Oh, I'm so sorry about your car. Yours looks so devastated. So would that be cash, or do you want a check?
Right. Well, and so I had an IROC, an IROC Z Camaro, and it was purple.
That's what I looked at one of those when I was 16. My dad wouldn't let me have it.
Well,
they
the way
were
you drive,
awesome.
that's not a shocker.
Oh, I want to drive. That's what I wanted. That was the first car I actually looked at a car lot with my father. And I was like, I found my car. He was like, no.
No, you didn't.
No.
No, you didn't.
No, not with your lead foot. No. We're keep
That's
looking.
funny. Oh, he knew.
Uh-huh.
He's like, you're taking this 69 Saab.
Yeah, right. The Saab. One of my old roommates had that. So I took this IROC that I had no real attachment to, and I traded him that for that Mustang and like $400 or something.
Nice.
Wow.
And so like, 12 years later, guess what the guy does?
Totals it.
He owns an auto body shop.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. And instead it's guys working there instead of women. What the heck?
But you know what? If it weren't for her intervening, he never would have had
That's
the
true.
body shop.
You
So
never know,
even,
right?
That's what
even
I'm
your
saying.
influence then.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Next time I'll see him, I'll be sure to phrase it that way.
There you go. That actually
Yeah,
brings up a good point. That was the next question I was going to ask you. What are some of your favorite stories about those lives that you've changed as far as with Car Chix? Like some of the women's lives that you've made, their careers possible.
There's been some amazing things that have happened, and one of them, Tanya Pennington. She's from Farmington, Missouri. She's from Missouri, and or Farmington, Missouri.
Yes, Farmington.
Somewhere in Farmington, Missouri. And so I came down there and I held a ladies only drag strip at Sykeston Raceway, and so she came up for that. There was probably like 9-10 girls, and they all came. We had a great time. We had a race, and she was inspired by what we were doing with our breast cancer fundraiser, and so she started Autos for Autism, which is a huge fundraiser now. I think they're in like year 4 that they do down there to raise money for autism, and this organization that they started called Visions of Hope, which helps children and adults with autism. Like they'll provide them their first, like their suit to go to their first job interview, and help them like prep for the interview and different things like that. So last year I think they raised like $30,000 like in one day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so she's, she said she was inspired by us, and so that's awesome. We've had some other women that, have landed like jobs at really cool, racing performance industry type gigs. And, they were pretty excited by us or inspired by us or used us as like a reference or something, or noted about what they did with us. Then, there was another gal that just sent me an email the other day with a picture of her graduating, and, she went back to school and got her master's. She's got 2 kids and, did it all on her own, and said that, that we inspired her to do that, or I inspired her to do it just because I was always pushing, like, work hard and you can do anything you want to do.
Right.
There's been a couple gals that we see on TV now that have gotten on like, Street Outlaws or, however it is. And but it's pretty cool. The opportunities are pretty endless. We just got off a stint with NHRA at the NHRA Nationals at Route 66 Chicagoland Speedway, where for the first time ever we got invited as like a exhibition where we got 2 of our fastest girls on small tire drag radials racing in the pro show at a national event.
Wow. That's
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah, so Georgina Buckley from Illinois and Leah Oakes from Texas, and it was cool. It was Mustang. It was a Georgina Buckley races. I think it's a 2004 Ford Mustang Nitrous small tire, and then Leah Oakes races a 1978 Ford Fairmont wagon that's
Nice.
turbo.
She races a wagon, Chris.
Yeah,
This is
man.
your dream girl.
Yes, it is. That is my dream.
No offense to your wife.
It's so cool. And Leah Oakes, so they drove all the way up from Texas, man, and she's like 5 foot, okay? Mm-hmm. Her crew guys are 6'5".
Wow.
They're like
Football team.
basketball players. Yeah.
That's
They're
awesome.
huge. But it was a great time. We had a test pass on Friday, 2 qualifiers Friday evening, and then the final on Saturday. And to be sharing the stage with John Force, Antron Brown, and just some of these other incredible women like Leah Pritchett, Erica Enders. It was and to come out of the tower. If you've ever been at 66, like there's this huge. It looks like a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like the Hilton or something with like a driveway underneath it, and those are all the suites where all the people are sitting there in air conditioning drinking mimosas or something watching racing. And then you come out and you see these humongous stands, like grandstands as far as you can see, and you come out there. I mean, the feeling is like pretty overwhelming just to see the mass crowd of people that they have a national event. And I got goosebumps. I was all excited. I mean, it was cool. And then you could hear when they're like, Brian Loans is like, and here comes Card Chix. You heard some people go, yeah.
That's awesome.
It was incredible. So I mean, that's something.
That car so bad now.
That's something that those women are going to remember for the rest of their lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And now I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then even so in the final round, Leah Oaks couldn't boost her weight, and so now we're actually having the rematch.
Oh, no.
We're having the Card Chix Grudge Match rematch at South Georgia Motorsports Park, No Mercy 10 with Duck X Productions. We're pretty excited about that, and that'll be in October, towards the end of October.
Oh
Wow.
man, I gotta see this.
Right? I want to see this wagon.
I want to see her just put like a big spike on the front of that thing.
I think she's got a sound bar in there. She's got a pink cage. I think she said she had a smoke machine.
Oh, this car sounds amazing.
It's so cool. It's fast. It pops huge wheelies, and then in the pits, when you're done racing, you can just pop the hatch and have a party.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
God.
yeah, you could put at least 10 people on the back of that hatch at least.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So now that Racing Junk is involved with this organization, how do you see those types of stories continuing?
See, I've known Racing Junk for a long time. I mean, that was like my go-to place, looking at all the things I wish I could afford, like
Right.
in some of the class of, some of the really cool race cars that they have for sale there. And I mean, they're the leaders. There's nobody else doing what Racing Junk does. And so when we were contacted about the partnership with them, I mean, I was just ecstatic about it. I'm like, and it makes sense. Like, we're the leaders in what we do. You guys are the leaders in what you do. So, I mean, joining forces together, I mean, the sky's the limit, really. And I think, like with our following, our following and their following, I mean, there's just endless possibilities that we're just very excited about.
Awesome. So you guys are also doing a lot of charity events. You mentioned the breast cancer, research. What are some of the other, organization type events you all are doing, the other fundraisers you all are doing to help others?
Sure. So this year, right now on our schedule, we just have our ladies only drag race and breast cancer fundraiser at Byron, which is August 17th. And that goes to the All About Me program at Rochelle Hospital. So when we do events, when we do fundraisers, in my opinion, and see, that's my company, so I can do what I want, I think it's most important to give back to the local community that's around the racetrack that you're going to host an event at. Because the local community is going to be the ones that come out and support the event. They're going to be the ones that provide donations and silent auction items for the event. They're going to be the ones that come and buy tickets to attend the events. And they're going to, so when you give back to the community and you give back to, the All About Me program, I mean, they're going to be more than likely, they're going to be helping members of their community when, they get sick for their pre or post breast cancer programs and situations, And so we've always done that. We've never donated to any of these really big organizations just because it's just not as impactful, in my opinion. And so we've always dealt with organizations like the Well Woman programs that literally will help women that don't have health insurance, and they will go and pick them up and take them to and from their, chemo appointments, or they'll, provide transportation in some way, somehow. Earlier this year at the NHRA event, we partnered with Pink Hills. Pink Hills is local to the Joliet, is local to Joliet, which is where the national event was hosted. And what they do is that they help not just breast cancer, but men and women for all different kinds of terminal illnesses. They'll pick them up in these neon pink fire trucks in police cars and take them to like their last round of chemo.
That's amazing.
So cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it is cool. And like in in previous years, we've done some things with like multiple sclerosis. One of our racers actually, she got diagnosed when she was 18. And she got diagnosed. She had left the Chicagoland area, went down to Tennessee to start her first year of college, and all of a sudden her parents just got this, horrible call, like, your daughter's in the hospital and they don't really know what's going on. And they went down there to get her. Turns out she had multiple sclerosis and they didn't know, And so, just all the, all the financial issues and unanswered questions at that point, this family was in need and they were scared. And so a bunch of us, Car Chix, the Midwest Super Stock Mafia, like this Wheel Standard group, this Pro Stock group, and a bunch of other local racing organizations, we all got together and went to Byron Dragway. And we hosted just a big benefit. We had silent auctions, we had raffles, we had 50-50. We had, all these groups donated their time, like it was, like they didn't pay to be at the show, and then the track, gave some of the gate fee away, and we helped get her like $26,000 that day.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I mean, it didn't fix everything, but at least it helped them.
It helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a big help.
Yeah, are you kidding me? Yeah.
Yeah. And so like years later, like she still has MS, but it's in like recession.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So she looks good. She's gotten married. They have a beautiful baby. So they're doing very well. So it's not even just like Car Chix does stuff single, on its own too, but we're not shy to like team up with other people, like, hey, let's do this, because working together with other groups and other, companies or organizations, I mean, I think that's a really big key to doing successful things.
Absolutely. And
especially larger scale things.
Yeah, and I can tell too. I love when she said she doesn't go with the larger organizations because it doesn't have as big of an impact on the local community.
Exactly.
Jeanette,
Right.
I mean, I can tell that paying it forward is a big part of the organization. And, my question is, with everything that you have going on, with all the events that you have coming up, where can not only the listeners find more information, but some of the groups that maybe want to partner and sponsor, how can they find you guys?
Sure. So you can go on our website, carchix.com. That's CARCHIX.com, or Car Chix spelled the right way. We are also on pretty much every major social media network. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We are on YouTube. And you could send us, there's a contact form on our website. You can send us a message through there or any of our social media networks. We'd love to talk to you. We are at different events every weekend. By the end of this year, we will have hosted 7 ladies races.
Wow.
And in between those 7 races, we will be at different racetracks promoting the next coming event. So, I mean, this year, right now, we're going to hit 40 events this year.
Wow, that's amazing.
So,
that's wonderful.
I know. It's crazy. So you can go and see the full schedule where we're going to be on our website and on our Facebook page. But yeah, I've been on the road every weekend since May.
Wow.
Grief. I mean, I know you got my Super Dragon Wagon coming up in October, but what's the next big event you have coming up that you're excited about?
I'm super excited about this weekend, right? So this weekend, I just got off the phone this afternoon with Funny Car Chaos. Funny Car Chaos is going to be at Central Illinois Raceway, and they actually have, so it's a bunch of nitro funny cars. Like these are some fast, loud rides, and this organization brings in like a packed track. Like people love it. I mean, John Hale's going to be there. Nancy Matter's going to be there. She won one of the events this year as well. So it's a traveling series. And so we will be there for the first time this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The main show is Saturday, and it's at Central Illinois Raceway in Havana, Illinois.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah. And last weekend we were at what's called Glory Days at Byron Dragway, and it's all, you could not race unless it was a 1966 or older.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was cool.
It
was so cool.
Oh, my type of event. I
It
love
was
classic
cool.
cars.
Why can't we do that down here, man?
I know we don't see that.
Oh.
All we have is classic car shows. That's all.
Yeah.
You know, they all sit in a parking lot. And
Yeah. They sit in the parking lot at a park, and if a cloud comes over, everybody rushes to get their car back out.
That's about what we have here. I mean, I would love to see. Now there is one classic car jammer series here in North Carolina, but
Right.
you don't hear about them very often in North Carolina.
No. So and Jeanette, is there a dragway or a speedway that you're looking to do an event that you haven't really done one yet, or have you pretty much conquered that mountain?
So it's funny that you bring this up. So what I'm starting to notice, and it goes back to the impact that Chix and other organizations have had. Like, there's more and more women in motorsports. There's more and more women in the automotive industry. I mean, women are here to stay.
That's
the
right.
world knows. I mean, it's recognized. It's more and more acceptable. And so now what I'm trying to do is there's a transition. And yes, we're still going to keep our ladies only races, but we started transition like about 2 years ago. Now we're offering Battle of the Sexes. Now we got the guys and the gals. We've even opened it up to junior drakesters. 2 years ago. Just, it's really important to get these kids involved so that when we all die, that someone carries the torch and it's not all just these Priuses rolling around.
a Prius race.
So in that effort, I am in the beginning planning stages with a couple other bigger promoters on possibly putting together a large event. And right now we're actually venue shopping. And, doing, and not just venue shopping where, dollars and cents, but
right.
what makes sense, really, because I mean, we have, where do we have the biggest draws from? And looking at our data and our demographics and our analytics and, knowing that what each of us have all done individually and seeing what we can all pull together collectively. So we are looking to do something like that. We're working on some names and, getting some ideas down. But yeah, I think potentially this could be a pretty big deal up here in the in the Midwest.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice. So no Charlotte Motor Speedway this year.
Why?
I mean,
I would love to come down there. I have never been to the Carolinas. I'm very open to, if there's ever an event that someone like, Chix come down to. I also like, people ask me to come and speak at events. I'm more than happy to do any of that. I love to travel, and as long as we don't have an event booked that weekend, I'm game.
I mean, if it's,
you never know what could happen. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and we love our 2 R's down here in North Carolina, racing and wrestling. So, I mean, all you got to do is
racing and wrestling.
Yeah, just come on down. I mean, you will find something going on pretty much every week.
That's cool.
Well, Jeanette,
cool.
we cannot wait to hear more about the events. We can't wait to see the results of the events. We know the organization is just going to keep exploding, and we are so proud and happy of this partnership between Chix and RacingJunk.com that, I mean, we can't even hardly put it to words. So, we're just excited. Go follow her on social media, CarChix.com, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the whole nine. As a matter of fact, Ellen and I are just sitting here on our phones now following you on Instagram.
On Instagram, we sure are.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And Jeanette, DesJardins.
Oh, I think you said it right.
Hollywood fun stay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Lady Mama La. Yeah.
You guys are amazing. I love it.
Jeanette, thank you so much for joining us.
Jeanette.
We're so excited. We can't wait to talk to you again in the future. And if there's ever anything that we can do to help out, we are here for you. We're excited for you. And we just can't wait to catch up with you again.
Amazing. Hey, thank you guys so much for the opportunity. Ellen, Chris, really appreciate it. And we'll talk soon.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
thank
our
you
honor.
so much.
We'll catch you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That lady is a certified superstar.
Absolutely. Hey, it was actually really neat to hear her story. I mean, I often question myself as to whether or not, being a woman, if I can be a success in the automotive industry.
You already are.
Well, I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it.
Right.
And God's working on me. But, it's amazing to know that there's other women like me that aren't afraid to go after it.
Right. See, here's my thing. Worked in media for 20 plus years.
Yes.
Was raised by 3 women. I understand that there is, the male dominant component, the male, we're still in charge, little lady. I understand that that's still there.
Right.
But I never saw it. I never had to be around it.
Right.
I am very empathetic to the movement, and I support it because I don't know. And as a man, we don't know. We don't understand. We can't fathom not only what you have to go through, but what goes through your mind when you realize this is something you might have to deal with.
Right.
The anxiety and the anticipation, and then to hear stories like just the previous racers that we've talked to, and then to hear Jeanette's story of what she's done, and to hear Adriana talking about it earlier, to see where she's at, to see where you're at. It makes me proud of what our organization is doing, the partnerships that our organization is building. But more so than that, it makes me feel like, you know what? Maybe eventually my feeling will be universal to where it's not even an afterthought because it won't be there at all.
I think that this Car Chix is definitely on the right road to make that happen. And I think Racing Junk partnering with such an organization will help, ease that as well, because I do see a lot more women in this industry, and I think it is more accepted, and I think it will become more accepted. So I think it's wonderful to see just how talented everyone is, not based on gender, not based on race, not based on anything else.
But by the merit of the work they do.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And she proved that. Exactly. Could you imagine having Jeanette DesJardins work on your car? I love it. I butchered it, but then I got it right, and I didn't know which way to go, and I'm glad she didn't gig me on that one, though.
Hey, I think it would be cool to pull in. In fact, she mentioned, having the all-girls garage. I think it would be
That'd be
cool.
awesome. I would go there every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, and you notice the one thing I didn't bring up when she said she was in Wisconsin.
Right.
What's on my wall?
The Bears. The Bears. But, she talked about Illinois, so,
Yeah, so, yes,
she
I didn't know.
Chicago.
But,
we didn't ask her if she was even a football fan.
I don't cross those lines because the season's not here, and we don't know what's going to happen.
That's right.
So
and everybody hates my team, so who cares?
Don't give me that. Well, yeah, that's because your quarterback grabs babies and jumps off of rock cliffs into water with them or something. I don't know what. Anyway, well, you saw the video of Tom Brady making his baby jump off a cliff?
That was faked.
That was not fake.
That was fake.
How can that be fake?
Because people fake that kind of stuff all the time.
Are you saying it was a little person dressed up like his daughter? Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
Anyway, Jeanette DesJardins, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for listening to us. We hope over the past few weeks you have enjoyed our podcast. You've enjoyed the fact that we are trying to highlight some of the ladies in motorsports, in this sport that we love, because they're there. They're prevalent. They are there. So we want to highlight as many as we can. So if you know of one and or are one,
let us know. And hey, we're not discounting you guys either. I mean, we've had some incredible men on here who have just done amazing things, not only racers, but those who are doing things to better the idea of racing.
I take that mantle, Ellen, as being the incredible man.
Okay.
In the industry. I should have
never said incredible man.
Podcast.
That's what I was worried about.
Just letting you know now, you don't have to say it out loud. I already know.
Oh, no. Y'all help me.
And I'm okay with it. So we thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to reach out to us on the website, racingjunk.com. You can leave comments here under the podcast at SoundCloud and at iTunes. Download, subscribe, link, share. Hey, we love it. Give us some feedback. Give us some comments and let us know who you like to have on the show. If you got any questions, Ellen's obviously the expert. I just sit here and look pretty. And that's pretty much
scary.
Yeah, yes, pretty. Yeah, if I'm the version of pretty, good Lord, we're all in for it. So, but we look forward to talking to you guys next time, and we're coming back soon. Any teasers for who's coming up next?
Yeah, actually, we have a really incredibly inspiring gentleman who's going to join us next, and you all heard a little bit about him recently, so just stay tuned.
Stay tuned. You'll get that and more when Behind the Wheel on RacingJunk.com comes back at you. Be safe. We look forward to seeing you soon.